Gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer!
Gordon cuts through. They go to Barrett. He'll turn and shoot for the win.
Bingo!
All right. Welcome to another episode of the NBA Max podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. Joining me are Ori B from Hoop Social and Jalen Carter. How we doing, boys?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
It's a tough day. It's a tough day over here being a LeBron guy. Great game. Great basketball game.
It was a great basketball game.
Great basketball game. Like I said, JJ Redick thinking these guys are robots. Playing five starters for an entire half is absolutely ridiculous. I think anybody who's played sports, you do that, it sounds good on paper, but then when the other team's bench comes on, aka Naz Reid's, Dante DiVincenzo, they're going against tired legs. And the whole point of you having a LeBron, Luka, Reeves is so you can rest one or two of these guys and have the offense still cooking, and you can still have them play defense. But to ask five starters to play offense and defense at a high level for an entire half, especially when one is 40 years old, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if you look at stat lines, they all play great. LeBron, I thought, that stat line you'll take. Luka, you'll take. Reeves, turn it on the second half. Rui, big shots. It's just defensively, they couldn't stop. They couldn't get a rebound one. Size is really showing. Their lack of size, obviously. Yep. You probably got to get Jackson Hayes in there at this point. You can't be depending on – I saw LeBron in stretches having to guard Rudy, then guard Anthony Edwards. Like, imagine going from boxing out Rudy Gobert to then having to guard Anthony Edwards. You know what I mean? That's insane. Again, for those 28-year-old LeBron, all the power to you. I think he could definitely do his thing. I still think he did a good job, but asking him to do that at this age is, again, ridiculous. So, yeah, I think the Lakers got to figure that out. Anthony Edwards, though, was hooping. Shout out Anthony Edwards. That three ball was falling, getting to the rim. Naz Reid, big buckets. Dante, big buckets. And I think that's the first time I've seen JJ be out-coached by a good margin. I just think that deciding to keep the starters in there for the entire half is such a bad call. No, and I think he's smart enough to realize that, and he'll make the adjustments.
Yeah, it's the five starters that play for 48 minutes, and you mentioned the LeBron's 40. The other one is Luka Doncic, who doesn't necessarily have a great track record of having tremendous stamina and being in the best shape. So, yeah, like Luka's a phenomenal basketball player, but he can't be running out there for 24 minutes straight. And yeah, like I just like. Obviously, it was a great basketball game. Like both teams played relatively well, but just like down the stretch, because I obviously picked the Lakers to win the series, and part of the reason was that I just believed in LeBron and Luka's ability to close out so much better than the Wolves, and that just ended up not happening. And yeah, you can blame part of that on stamina. Obviously, you can blame part of that on just the Lakers of Luka just playing too much hero ball. I feel like he did like a lot of like the prime James Harden stuff where he would just dribble at the top of the key for 20 seconds, then he would try to pass it off to either Reeves or LeBron. And I think the biggest reason they lost is I don't have the number at the top of my head, but I think the last 6 minutes, I think LeBron only touched the ball like three times. That I understand that Luka, that technically if you want to say Luka's your best player right now, even though the team's not built around him, if you're ranking players in the league, Luka is probably the best player on the team, but LeBron James is the face of the Lakers, and he really should be touching the ball more than three times in the last half of the quarter. And again, I understand that he's 40, but the ball needs to be in his hands 1,000%.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both you guys and share the same sentiment. I mean, I was on that same page where I chose the Lakers to pull this one out because of the top heaviness of Luka and LeBron. I think we both kind of fell into that trap of, these guys are superstar closers. You put two of them together, they're bound to win. And that with a little bit of underestimation towards the T-Wolves, I think is just kind of created a perfect storm where, Minnesota is I mean, we know these guys are tough when they have it. And I mean, Anthony Edwards is a him. We know that much as well. And I mean, when he performs at a high level, the ceiling is super high for the T-Wolves. So, I mean, it's certainly not what I thought was going to happen in this series now that it's 3-1 like this. But I honestly can't say that I'm surprised either.
Yeah, it's really tough to tell like what adjustments the Lakers could make from here. Obviously, just having to go to your bench would need to be the case there. I know that one guy in the comment section just said that that not taking on Mark Williams may have been a mistake. What is that?
That would have helped. Mark Williams would have for sure helped. Not playing connect.
Sure.
I mean, that's a big body. I can see that. That's a big body to get some rebounds. I think you're forced to play Jackson Hayes at this point. Like he's a mobile big. I don't think he's too much of a hindrance. Sure, on the switches with Edwards, he's gonna get blown by every time. But that's 90% of bigs in the league. You know what I mean? You just kind of have to live with that and hope. He also
just has zero any type of game on offense. So that's the issue. Like he's not a good post player and everything. And we see it with Rudy Gobert sometimes, where like he gets played off the court because of his offense. He's an elite defensive player, which Hayes is a fine defensive player, not good, but like his offensive deficiency.
Finish at the rim though, like LeBron, Luka lobs. You know what I mean? Just like open dunks. Like he wouldn't have to. You're not going to feed him.
I guess, yeah.
You know, Bullock, Kevin McHale, or Hakeem, and this. It's just catch lobs. You know, when the double goes to Luka and LeBron, be open for pass finish.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we're really. I mean, sadly, I mean, I guess for better or worse, we're kind of seeing exactly what we expected for flaws, though, from the Lakers.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think that. I mean, once again, I think everybody was kind of into the hype train of adding that superstar. But at the end of the day, I mean, the flaws that the Lakers are showing are kind of the same flaws that we've known them to have throughout the season. Before Luka was there and stuff, and just in general. So I mean, maybe it's probably just bull on us for picking the Lakers. This is probably how this series should be turning out, just based on the talent levels of both teams and the cohesion and yada yada. So I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, Minnesota's just proving to be, they want it more, and that's how it's going to work.
I do think though, like Minnesota, it is like they're the team that's almost built perfectly to exploit the Lakers' weaknesses that's left in the league, because other teams don't have Gobert, Randall, Naz Reid, right? Just kind of three guys. Even though Gobert is somewhat unplayable some moments, he still caused a problem with them. And like I said, just having to use LeBron James to box out Gobert, and then in some cases having to guard Anthony Edwards too, it's just not going to work. So at this point, you got to get Jackson Hayes back in the lineup. The rebounding, unless they just got to want it more, you could say that maybe just really have to rebounding does a lot of ways come down to effort. But at the same time, it's like a guy like Austin Reeves or even Luka can only do so much to rebound over a Julius Randle, over a Naz Reid or Gobert, right? It's just going to be tough for them because they don't really have that athleticism. But also you got to give credit to Minnesota too. Like I said, Julius Randle played the best defense I've seen in my life that he's ever played. Julius Randle is always a negative defender, considered lazy. In some reason, he's trying to lock up Luka, bodying up. Like these guys are really playing defense. So all the power to them on that. But yeah, tough game. Lakers still could have won it though. Like they had all the opportunities to win, right? They had the lead, couple shots here and there. I think a couple rebounds here and there. They could have won it. So it's not like it was a blowout. And and hey,
why am I not hearing anything about the two reasons why they lost this game?
Oh, but we talked about JJ Redick playing the starting five for the second half. Yeah, that's the dumbest. That's the dumbest thing JJ Redick has ever done so far as a coach is having your entire starting lineup play the entire half, which allowed I think guys like Naz Reid, Dante to attack tired legs, right? Especially they were getting to the rim every single time they wanted. Part of that was because
when I heard him say the things we knew were wrong with the Lakers, which was we said JJ Redick's inexperience. And it didn't show in the regular season. We give him a lot of credit for what he did in the regular season in terms of, the schemes, the effort that they put in, incorporating a new superstar into the lineup. We said, hey, he did a great job. Here, we're seeing the inexperience come in where he doesn't trust his bench players, right? That's the only reason you play your starters the entire half is that you don't trust and now not only have you ruined their confidence, your second best player now, it used to be the first best player when AD was there, but now your second best player is on old legs. He's on old legs.
Yep.
And when he scores 0 in the fourth quarter, when he throws another inexcusable turnover and then fouls, a fatigue foul, let's be honest. No, the hand is not part of the ball, LeBron, because you hit the forearm. So maybe the hand, but it doesn't extend all the way to the shoulder, buddy. That was a fatigue foul. When you're tired, You just slap down at the ball and you hope that you get the ball. You hope you get the hand. So no scoring in the fourth quarter. I'm not making excuses for LeBron because I'll never make excuses for LeBron.
Sure.
Or LeBarbie. Thank you again, Clutch. No one believes that they sent it to me. I swear to God, I didn't buy it. But anyways, I'm not making excuses for him because I won't make excuses for him. But no points in the fourth quarter, an unexcusable turnover, an unexcusable foul, a deep lazy three. Like that's the shot you take when you're tired
100%.
or when you're hot. Well, sorry, he hadn't scored all quarter, so he wasn't hot. Right.
So it wasn't a heat check.
Yeah, he takes a tired deep three, turns the ball over, the foul to give them the 2 free throws that basically ice the game. And all of that stems, I could easily say, well, there's LeBron choking for you in the fourth again. But I'm being honest and saying, no, that's JJ Redick not giving him 2 minutes between the third and fourth quarter to catch his breath and giving them some confidence with a rebounder, with, I get it. Jackson Hayes hurt you in other ways. I get it. But guess what? Pick any championship team. There was always a player. You don't think Dennis Rodman was like playing 4-on-5 every time you're on offense? Like there's always a player that needs to that needs to do something that is just like, we're going to have to eat it over here because we need what they do over there. Well, that's what this is. So not trusting your bench, it's inexcusable. I want to blame LeBron so bad.
Yeah, right.
It was all his fault, and you easily could. Right? Everybody, you'll see it all over Twitter. The fourth quarter, the turnover, the bad three, the foul. Easy to blame.
And I'm surprised that we haven't seen the blaming the whole not taking the last shot thing, because he did pass out the corner three to Austin Reeves. I think that LeBron could have shot that, but it wasn't the best shot. The Reeves shot was the best shot. But I'm surprised that we haven't seen
Reeves hit 3 threes second half.
That's where I'll always argue. Yes, it's the more open shot. But tell me the stats if I'm wrong. Who's more clutch?
LeBron James.
Obviously.
Who shoots a better 3-point percentage under pressure?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Reeves. Hold on. Reeves made.
It might be Reeves, honestly.
Reeves made 3 threes in the second half already. He was hot.
Reeves hasn't played long enough to say it's clearly LeBron is the more. Right. So, and who's the wants to be the greatest player of all time? No offense, you don't get that by getting the ball and treating it like a hot potato and kicking it out to Reeves. If he shoots and misses, I'll live with that. I'm sorry. Call me old school, old head, whatever you want, but I want the best player on my team, the most clutch player on my team, taking the last shot if he's open. Now, if he was double teamed, different. But he had a look. Austin Reeves was a cleaner look, but I would take him half open versus Reeves fully open for the last shot for the win. That's
Michael Jordan ain't passing that shot up. Tell you that much.
He passed it to Steve.
He will pass. He would pass in the right situation. He would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like and you should, but if he was open for the game-winning shot, he wouldn't. You're right. He wouldn't. Neither would Kobe. Neither would. Heck, I can't think of any other player. Magic wouldn't even pass that when he was that open game-winning shot. Like he wouldn't.
Ben Simmons, perhaps.
None of those guys are also playing 46 minutes in year 20, doing what he did to this team, playing defense on Gobert and Anthony Edwards. Like, we got to split a lot here. Sure, could he have taken the shot? But I actually like Reeves taking that shot because Reeves was the hottest. He was the hottest shooter on the Lakers.
So let me ask you: your life is on the line. Mm-hmm. Your life is on the line. Who do you want shooting the ball, Reeves or LeBron?
What's the context? There's so much other context. That's so simple.
The context is your life is on the line. Okay, and that's the shot. Who do you want?
So in that play, the defense, all that running, the game goes how it went.
Exactly how it was.
100%. I'm cool. Yes, Reeves. Reeves was hot.
Then you're gonna die. So
it happens. We lived a good life.
Rest in peace, brother. Like LeBron, here's the thing. I think LeBron hits that 8 out of 10 times. I think Reeves hits it 4 out of 10. So I want LeBron taking it. Mm-hmm. I'll live with LeBron. I'll live with LeBron missing. I refuse to say I want Reeves shooting it at this point in his career, in his life. I'm sorry. because you know what happens when you lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
You go down 3-1, and yeah, he's come back from 3-1 before, but how many times are you going to beat on
Not the
that
same
drum? Like,
Not the same team.
That was a different LeBron
They-
too. That was a different
they
LeBron
keep-
who could play the entire second half and first half if we wanted to.
Well, exactly. Like, and they always reiterate that stat. I think now it's come up to 96%. Is
Also, the
total.
the Wolves don't have a player that's in jeopardy of getting suspended because of a flagrant foul to give LeBron momentum going back to Minnesota, so they can come back from 3-1 as well.
Exactly.
I just think Luka was an interesting one too. Luka, again, offensively is there, but his playmaking and rebounding when he's going against a physical defense was really showing. Like after every layup he would make, he was looking at the ref. Where's my call? Where's my call? I want to go look at the replays and see if he actually got hit or not. You know, whether he's getting that whistle or not. But at some point, Luka
he doesn't deal with physical play very well.
Yeah, he still get his, like he can still get his buckets, but man, like it's a struggle.
You want to hear the stat? 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 of 17 from the field, which is 29%, 1 of 6 from 3, which is 16%, and a negative 31.
Who's that? What's that?
That's Luka's fourth quarter totals throughout the series.
Say it again. Say it one more time so we know.
Yeah, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, negative 31.
1 assist?
1 assist.
His assist numbers have been a little, yeah. What's Bronze? I think Bronze fourth quarter numbers probably.
I don't know what LeBron's are. Yeah, this is from a tweet. So yeah.
Yeah. So thing is too. What I was going to say is, the reboundings are really killed them. Like offensively, I'll take what happened. Sure, they had their downstairs LeBron, Luka, whatever, but I'll live with what they put up offensively. That's fine. Defensively, the reboundings are really hurt them. Like they got out rebounded by 15, like something crazy, right? Look us up.
Oh no!
Listen, we knew they were small.
I gotta update immediately. There's a comment and somebody's accurate. I'm watching the game. They think Damian Lillard has tore his Achilles.
Oh, that's not what you want. That's tough at that age too.
Exactly.
No, listen, it's horrible injury. They weren't going anywhere anyways. He was out in the first round, so.
Right,
sure.
But it's also next year problem too. That's the thing you run into as well.
That's the biggest thing is like the timing for this injury for him. I think is more because the Bucks weren't expected to do anything. So
well, hopefully the summer is enough to get him back like by the All-Star break or something.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Modern medicine.
Positive vibes to Damian Lillard for sure.
For sure, absolutely.
This is why, right? That Mark Williams trade.
Would have helped. Would have
been a complete game changer. I'm scared he was injured. I'd still take him.
Pardon my ignorance, but obviously I stopped following after the it was done. But like, what ended up being the final reason why that didn't work out?
He just had like damaged knees. I think they looked at his health and they just thought it was a long-term situation. Maybe degenerative knees, something along those lines, and they weren't willing to give up the capital that they needed to. And they probably they realized in the offseason they could add a center maybe that they really wanted a lot more, whoever that may be. And they just took a more patient approach, which technically I'm fine with. Sometimes you don't have to rush it. Maybe like you said, this season doesn't get done, but next season you get the center that you really want, whatever the case may be. But yeah, the rebounding thing, it is a lot of more want to. Like sometimes you just got to go grab that rebound, like whether you're Rui, Vando, just like go up and get it. Like sometimes you just gotta let me see who's rebounding for the Lakers here, man. We had rebounds. We had LeBron.
At the end of the day, while you're looking that up,
rebounding
is a skill, right? There's a reason Jason Kidd can average the same amount of rebounds as one of the Lopez brothers, right? I think they're both at 6 points.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
There's a reason they can do that. There's a want to it, of course. But if anyone who's played basketball, you understand, or coach basketball, you understand like positioning and boxing out are just as important. Like I can rebound over guys bigger and stronger and higher jumping dudes than me if I'm in the right spot. Especially in today's NBA where, let's be honest, 40% of the shots are threes? Well, guess what that means? That means longer rebounds. That gives smaller guys, guards and forwards on the wings, more of an opportunity if they just go in and grab it. But if you just shoot it and then walk away, and that's a lot of it is the want, right? It's right. Like Steph Curry out rebounds, if you remember those years in Golden State, out rebounds 7-foot Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
It's not about the size sometimes. Like
Peyton Pritchard is one of the best offensive rebounders in the game.
He did his thing. So with the Lakers, you had LeBron. LeBron had 12, led the way. Reeves had 7, which I'll take every day. Jordan finished with that 8. Rui had 5. Luka having 1 is crazy. Luka having 1 for his size is strength is kind of crazy. I want at least 6 to 8 from him. Luka Doncic, that's what he usually gives you. So that was a bit of a
the game before, I think he led the team in points.
Yeah, he led the, yeah, maybe it's just
So I think that might be just a
variance thing. Yeah, 7, 8. Yeah.
Well, now, not to switch gears entirely here, but talking about the Lakers a little bit, I'm curious your thoughts overall. Like, does this season, when it's finished, have any bearing on LeBron's legacy at the end of the day?
Of course it does.
Of course it does. It doesn't change anything for anyone, I don't think.
And it absolutely does. Here's the thing. Anyone who's in, and look, we only have one player in the top 5 who's still playing. Is there any season of the other guys that are typically in the top 5? Is there any season that we just ignore? Right?
No, Jordan fans ignored the Wizards years. No, they didn't exist. They don't exist. They never happened.
Jordan fans might, but LeBron fans never let you forget it.
Right.
And in fact, not only do they not let you forget it, they make it seem like it's way worse than it actually was.
That's true.
I'll tell you right now, real Jordan fans love those years.
Magic. When I get into a heated debate where I say, hey, the only thing stopping Magic from being in the GOAT debate is that his career was cut short because of HIV. The first thing that pops up is tragic Magic. What about those years? What about those playoffs? What about him having Kareem? So every year matters. If you look at Kareem, they'll always tell you about what about the 10-year stretch between Oscar and Magic that he didn't win Jack. Every year mattered for him. So when you ask the question, will it affect his legacy? Of course, if he gets knocked out in the first round as a favorite, something that he has done repeatedly in his career, losing as a favorite, it's going to hurt. If he does go, if the Lakers do, even not that they're going to at this point, but if they were to go all the way to the finals and win and Luka's the finals MVP, that's going to affect his. So when you're in that higher echelon of top 5, top 10 players all time, everything you do will matter. And that's why he is so big on making sure he manipulates the narrative, because he knows legacy is important to him. It's not important to everybody. To him, it's important. And the LeBron fans will ignore it. The haters will over exaggerate it. And the people in the middle, the rest of us, will be like, yeah, he was 40. Like, he did really good for a 40-year-old. Like, coming into the season, I said he's a top 3 player in the NBA, and everyone said I was crazy. And I said, no, think about it. If you compare LeBron this year, not to LeBron 10 years ago, compare him to the players playing now, and he's just as good offensively. He's just as good of a playmaker. He's just as good of a shooter. He's just as good defensively as the top guys, with the few exceptions like the Giannis's of the world. But like Luka and Jokic and Steph, you're not writing home to talk about their defense, right? So he's just as good, and in some cases has the ability to be better. So he's in that conversation with those guys at 40.
So okay, so that
2013 or 2014 LeBron, we're like, well, it's not him. We can't compare him to him. We got to compare him to now.
That's the thing with the legacy thing, though. This is like Michael Phelps in 2012 and 16, after he won those 8 gold medals and he had at his peak. Did 2016 take away from his legacy when he won a couple silver medals? No, he's still the greatest swimmer of all time at his peak. When Usain Bolt, after he set all those records in his first Olympics, in his last Olympics, he still won, right? But he wasn't really breaking those records. He wasn't
individual sport's a tough one. But like, for example, I'll give you an individual sport. Tiger Woods came out of the gate like a bat out of hell.
Oh yeah,
and there's still people who call him the best, but guess what? He's not.
I think
he's not. Yeah, and here's why he's not the best. Here's why he's not the best. Because who has the most tournament wins? Jack Nicklaus.
No, he has the most majors. Tiger has the most tournament wins with Sam Snead.
Who has the most majors? Jack Nicklaus.
But Tiger has the most wins, the highest scoring average for most years. Like, every player of the year, he has everything.
Did Tiger's career being cut short affect his legacy when he's now been losing and like whatever? Yeah, it did. 100% it did. It absolutely
it affected legacy, because he should have been at like 24 majors as far as I'm concerned.
So that's again, it's different when it's individual, but as a team sport guy, all of these guys, their legacies are affected when they play. Now, again, LeBron's different, but most of them when they play too long and when they're put in a situation where it's not the same. Like, I'm sorry, Orlando Patrick Ewing hurt Patrick Ewing. Raptor Olajuwon hurt Olajuwon. Now,
did Raptor Olajuwon really hurt Olajuwon?
Well, all that.
it did.
Sorry, no, go ahead. I was going to say all that being said. Then at the end of the day, if we take the entirety of this season, assuming that they're going to lose and be knocked out in the first round, if we take the entirety of the season, would you consider this a legacy boost because of how well he performed in the regular season as a 40-year-old, or a legacy diminish because of the first round exit?
I think it's going. Again, it depends who you ask.
Sure.
Right, Jalen will tell you it's a boost. I'm trying to think. Whoever who's a Jordan guy.
Apex Jones on Twitter. A couple clowns on Twitter.
Apex Jones will tell you he's a first round exit as a favorite, right? So for me, impartial, I'll say it's a wash because yes, he played great, but he also had a team that was favorite, that was a 3 seed playing a 6 seed. Where he, regardless of the coaching decisions, where he did go in the last 5 minutes of the previous game, like even though he scored 38, people are going to remember the last 5 minutes where he did nothing, right? This fourth quarter where he did nothing but bad, right? In the fourth quarter, again, I've already told you I blame JJ Redick, but at the same time, you're going to look at it and say, well, they got eliminated because he didn't score. He had a turnover. He had a foul. He missed a shot that he shouldn't have taken. And then he passed up the game winner. I'll call it a wash, the season to the first round exit. But you know how narratives are. People are going to look, if you want to push the diminish, you can. If you want to push the positive, you can. I think it's in the middle. I think it's a wash.
I just don't think it changes anyone's mind. Like, LeBron won too. Like, nothing.
Nothing's going to change anyone's mind.
No. Yeah,
Well, see, I agree with the reason I asked is exactly the answer that you gave. Is I think that it really kind of comes down to how you view it because of the perspective. Because like you could legitimately make a compelling argument for both.
See, and this is why I like what I do, and I know most people hate it because they always they try to get me into this conversation. I don't rank active players in my all-time list. Mm-hmm. And because then I can wait till the end.
Except LeBron.
With the exception of LeBron. But like when we say, will he move up or down? No, he's locked in at number 2. That's where he's going to stay until his career is done. And then we'll reevaluate. But it's funny that I bring that up because someone had asked me, because someone called me a liar and they said, I can't believe you don't do that. And I said, I don't. And they said, so where did you have Jordan? And I said, when? Right now I have him 1. And they said, in 1994, when he retired the first time. And they were like, did you rank him? And I said, I absolutely did. And it took me some digging because it's, written notes, but my parents don't throw away any of my notebooks. So I went back and I looked and I pulled it up. Here was my top 10 list in 1994. Now, keep in mind, I was how much younger? Jesus, 30 years younger. So I didn't quite have the algorithms and the all the data points in place.
Wait, 30 years younger? There's no way you're
31, 1994
I
to
thought you were like 36. I thought it was maybe you're 60. My bad. Yeah, I thought you were maybe 60.
No. 1991. Sorry, 1994 is 31 years.
Yeah.
Time went by really fast. Here's my list. Number 10, Moses Malone.
Okay.
Mind, no active players, right? So you're not going to see Olajuwon and anybody.
Shaq.
So,
that's true. That's true.
Shaq won't be in there. Yep. So Moses at 10, Oscar at 9, Dr. J was 8, Jerry West 7, Bill Russell 6, Wilt Chamberlain 5, Michael Jordan 4, Larry Bird 3, Kareem 2, Magic 1.
Damn.
Wait, who'd you have at 4 and 5 ahead of Russell? Wilt and who else?
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. Okay, got it. Okay, that makes more sense.
Wilt Chamberlain disrespecting 94 is kind of wild. I thought he should be a lot higher than 94.
No, Wilt Chamberlain. Listen, Wilt Chamberlain is very, very lucky that he's even in my top 10.
Yeah, right.
He's not in mine.
And he's at 10, and here's the reason. Regular season stats, records, phenomenal. but I cannot. But I unlike everybody else who judge based on fandom and only look at the positives, I do look at the negatives. Losing record in the finals, all very, very stat oriented. An 8-point drop. His biggest thing was his scoring. He has an 8-point drop in points per game from the regular season to the playoffs. That season that he scored 50, 1962-63, do you know what he scored in the playoffs?
It was like 30 something.
It was like
32, I think, right?
Yeah, like he fell off a cliff, dude. Like there's 3 players that it would take to make up the difference in his scoring.
I need the video context though. I want to know if he was triple team, quadruple team. Like I just want to know what happened because I couldn't find any video.
Of course he was. Of course.
Yeah, but you look without context. Usually the stats, you have to go like, why in the world is this guy such a big playoff dropper?
But it wasn't. See, if it was only that season, it'd be different. But it's
consistent.
As a career, he's a dropper. Yeah,
he can't shoot free throws. His shooting percentage for a guy who took everything, within 3 feet for the most part. Yes, he had a little turnaround. He had a great.
It's a black hole, even games. Yeah,
even the season where he led, where I think he had the most total assists, it was because he was being a big baby. He's like, fine, I'll just pass it. Like he was being a big suck. So I'm sorry, I can't give praise to a perennial loser who has a huge. This is why, for example, LeBron and Jordan, I hold in such high regard over everybody else, because if you look what they do in the playoffs versus the regular season, they almost everything lifts. Shooting percentage, points per game, like everything. And that matters to me. Like I look at that too. So when I see guys who have these drop-offs, even if they're my favorite, like Magic, right? If there's a drop-off, I have to deduct points off that.
You gotta love Reggie Miller then. Reggie Miller has some crazy playoff rising. Like it's absurd.
Reggie Miller's actually
Reggie Miller was like good in the regular season and somehow became like a superstar in the postseason.
It's very much like Jimmy Butler. But the thing is, it's also easier because I don't hold them in. Right, they're not in that conversation. They're not in that conversation.
Well, like Jimmy Butler, has maybe like he has like 1 or 2 seasons where he's like a top 10 player in the regular season, and then he elevates his game. So like it's easy to call Jimmy Butler a playoff riser when like no one considers him a top 10 player in the regular season, but then like in some seasons he becomes a top 5 player. Meanwhile,
the thing with Reggie though too, Reggie did it for like a decade. Like he did it every single postseason he was rising. It wasn't like one spurt.
Jimmy, I listen. Nobody. I don't think anybody likes Jimmy Butler more than I do. However, I'm honest about my players. And I say this, he purposely doesn't do it in the regular season. Right? Like he admits this one doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And that's like, well, then yeah, of course you're gonna step up when you don't care.
Which would be a lot cooler if you actually ended up winning a ring in those seasons. Because carrying an 8 seed and 5 seed is really cool because like those teams are better than 8 and 5 seeds, by the way, the ones that he carries.
Yeah,
it makes his life harder. Yep. Right. When you're the 7 and 8 seed, like you guys not all of you, but a lot of you guys knock Jordan for being. It's funny. They always say 1 and 9, like it was 1 and 9 in the series, like it was 0 and 3, and the games were 1 and 9. But you always knock him. But he was the 7th seed, the 8th seed, and the 8th seed against one of the at the time that 85, 86 Celtics. It was considered the greatest team ever.
Yeah,
and it's like, and he's going, up to bat with nobody, and it's like, yeah, of course he's gonna lose, right? Like it would have been better if they didn't make the playoffs. Probably.
I only bring that up when the Jordan stands bring up 2018 when the guy's taking, when guys taking Kyle Korver, Jeff Green, and Love against Durant, Steph. In those teams, and they bring it up. Oh, he lost. Okay, then I'm gonna bring up Jordan lost to the greatest Boston team, ever through the first round.
Yeah, that's when no team's beating that Warriors team. Nobody.
No.
Like no team was beating that Celtics team.
People forget that. People forget that game that he put 63 up was in the Garden, where Boston was 40-1 that season.
Yep.
And the Bulls had a losing record. It was just they had no puncher's chance.
No, they were 30 and 52. I've said to this, and I stand by it. If you're below 500, you shouldn't be allowed in the playoffs.
Right.
Like the team that should play, you should get a bye. Like you should not be. This is why the play-in drives me nuts, because it's like, well, we're gonna have 4 teams who are all sub 500 battle each other, and I'm like, I'd rather have a team from the West that's 43 and 39 in the playoffs than a 37 and whatever 38 win team. Like look what's happening to these teams. They're getting smoked.
Well, and it's good that you said that too, because it's funny because people don't realize that was such a bad losing team. Like only 30 wins, 30-52. Like it's possibly one of the worst 8 seeds of all time versus one of the best teams of all time. And people hold it against them.
Well, and that was the problem. The NBA was expanding the playoffs for money, right? And 8 out of the 11 teams made it. It's like what?
Yeah.
8 of 11 teams make it. Like, why even have a playoff then? Everybody gets in. Like, it's crazy. But yeah. So no, it's. I don't know how we got down that path, but
I don't mean to switch tangents here or energy, but the Pacers are up by 13, and Giannis only has 6 points at halftime.
And I bet it's
no
over.
way.
I'm cooked. His over is at 32.5.
He has 6 points at halftime.
He still might get the over. He might still get the over.
He still get 38, maybe 30.5.
With Dame being out, he'll have a big second half. He can score. He can drop 28 and a half. I think pretty easy. And I think the game's going to be a little bit out of hand. Like they'll be down 20, so he'll get.
They might take him out, honestly. But yeah, who
no.
knows
What are the? Isn't the series what 2-1?
2-1, yeah.
3-1.
Yeah.
No,
3-1.
2-1.
Yeah.
2-1. Yeah.
They'll try to make a push, and then they might take him out, but he'll get his 32, 34 before they take him out.
Yeah.
And
Miles Turner been playing. The Lakers could have used him today. Miles Turner's 14 points.
Listen. Miles Turner is never getting traded.
Yeah, right.
We've been talking about Miles Turner getting traded for what, 10 years?
Miles Turner, let's see. So Miles Turner, John Collins on the Hawks for all those years. There's a whole list of others that were always on the trade block that never got traded.
Miles Turner might retire a Pacer in 10 years.
Now, genuinely, if you're an NBA player, like how disheartening is that?
Being traded?
No, being on the trading block every year. For
yeah.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because I think with Miles Turner as in the example, it's never really the Pacers saying we want to get rid of him. It's all these other contenders saying we need a Miles Turner that can get us over the hump. And so I think for him, it's kind of like it's flattering, right? Yeah. Versus John Collins, like, listen, this guy just doesn't fit. We got to get rid of him. Right? Like he's basically saying we got.
Well, like this, and I don't mean to put my Bill Simmons hat on and make this about the Celtics, but it's almost like in 2019. When the Celtics were debating on whether Kyrie was going to stay or not, and they say, okay, the only way we can keep Kyrie is if we trade for AD. You know what it's going to take for the Celtics to trade AD. It's going to be we have to trade either one of Tatum or Brown. You're going to have to also throw either Gordon Hayward or Al Horford in that deal. So that's I think it's something that tends up the locker room is like when you're saying like these players are great to trade for, and like they'll like no one says like it would take these players to trade for. Like the players know deep down, okay, oh crap, I might be the one traded in that deal.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, and this is for Jalen since he's up here in Toronto with me. The Raptors had the trio of Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan, and Kyle Lowry, and they let it be known all 3 are gone. We are rebuilding. They're all getting traded. And the first one to go down was they traded Rudy Gay, and they got like this package of like 5 guys back, and all of a sudden they started winning. And he's like, well, hold on, let's wait a minute. Since they're winning, let's give them a minute. And they kept winning, and they kept winning, and they kept winning. And it turned into that Toronto Raptor team that for that 5-year stretch, I think they won more games than any other team except the Warriors. So it's like, well, we can't trade them now because they keep winning.
100%.
But Kyle Lowry was saying like, oh, my bags were packed. Like I was in another city. I was gone.
Yeah.
And so, it's sometimes they let it be known, and it's, but you know what? I think that almost helped them because they're like, well, we're traded anyways. Might as well just go out and play basketball.
Yeah,
it's something. Yeah, because after Rudy Gay left, DeMar stepped up, Kyle stepped up. They started playing well out of the blue. And it's like, okay.
They also, if you remember, like, do you remember that trade?
I don't know who we got back, but I know when Rudy Gay left, obviously it was because we had 2 mid-range guys too. People complained about the spacing, 2 ISO scorers.
Well, the other thing was Rudy Gay didn't realize that he was blind.
Oh, his eye thing that came out after,
couldn't make a shot, and then he got the LASIK surgery. So he got traded. So the Raptors traded Rudy Gay with Quincy Acey and Aaron Gray to Sacramento, and none of these names will really stick out to you. But let me explain. for Gervis Vasquez, who is like a kind of tough-nosed, gritty, grimy kind of
Maryland, right?
like a Grayson Allen type of agitator kind of guy that you want on your team.
He played in
They
Europe
also-
for a bit after.
They also got John Salmons, who is a very capable scorer off the bench, right? That's a guy that could drop 15, 16 a night coming off the bench. Chuck Hayes, power forward, again, rebounder, dirty work guy, and Patrick Patterson, a very good three-point shooter. So you put that spacing, dirty work around already, like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, is like, oh, it actually ended up working because they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actual playable guys for a guy who couldn't hit water out of a boat because he was blind. So it's like, again, the names, most people say, here's why I hate basketball discourse is people say that guy sucked. That guy sucked. He was a bum. And I'm like, because you're a moron and you don't understand that basketball is a team game. And, it doesn't matter necessarily the pieces, each individual piece, it's how they fit around each other.
Yep.
Right. Like this guy over here will always say the 07 Cavs. They were the 4th ranked defense because of the way they were built. I always have this debate when the 2010 Cavs, I want to say
Which year?
The 2010 Cavs.
Last year LeBron was there?
Last year LeBron
was there. Yeah, last year LeBron was there.
Yeah.
The next year, right? Everyone's like, well, he carried them to 61 games. That team, look at all their players. They all sucked. And I'm like, no, the team was built to complement what he is as a player. And they might have sucked individually when the second best player is Mo Williams. But when you think about Mo Williams, Verjo, Old Shaq,
Antoine Jameson was
Antoine Jameson, like all of those guys collectively were exactly what that team needed. And they're like, well, the next year LeBron left and they won 19 games. And I'm like, no, dummy. The next year LeBron left, 4 other players
they all left.
Right?
They fired their head coach.
And they fired their head coach. They had a new system. You know what else happened? The guys that were there, do you know how many guys from the previous year played 60 plus games?
Oh God, I can't even
I think
imagine.
who in that team stayed on that team to play 60 plus?
3,
games?
okay.
3 players. And the players were Boobie Gibson. I'm gonna forget Anthony Parker, who was 35.
Yikes.
And Verjao, I'm assuming.
No, and Verjao only played 34 games. And
Got
JJ Hickson. So if JJ Hickson, 35-year-old Anthony Parker, and Boobie Gibson are the only guys that played 60 plus games, guess what, guys? You're not going to win more than 20 games.
I think you're disrespecting Boobie Gibson a little too much. He was a very soft player.
Nobody wants to play in Cleveland. That's why no free agents want to go to Cleveland unless LeBron.
LeBron. I have the video. I put it on TikTok. LeBron was like, I tried to recruit people. Nobody wanted to come here.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's Cleveland, especially at that time. Cleveland was just still. I mean, I guess it still
Listen,
isn't
when you have bad ownership, like it's not about the city. Like, look, Cleveland's not a great city, anyways. No disrespect to Cleveland, but when you have bad ownership, nobody wants to go there. It's the reason why people wanted to go to Dallas. Dallas isn't. Like, it's not a great.
I thought Dallas, Texas, is like a big city in the States. I thought that was like not like up there with LA, Miami, but like right below.
It's Dallas is bigger than Miami for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like popularity wise, I feel like
Dallas. Austin, Texas is actually bigger. Is like up and coming. That's bigger than Dallas actually at this point. I don't know. Like people aren't going to Dallas for their bachelor party. That's for sure.
No, yeah, they're going to they'll go to Texas because of the tax situation. Yeah. But I mean, like if you would have put what's his name? What was the owner?
Dan Gilbert.
Dan Gilbert. If you put Dan Gilbert as the owner of the Mavs, nobody wants to go to Dallas either.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And especially after like the way that Gilbert kind of the way he acted after LeBron left. Like it was just awful. It was an awful look all the way around. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. So it's
now Cleveland has Shador. See how that turns out.
That's a disaster. I feel so bad for him going in the 5th round for nonsense. Like he's a.
I don't feel bad for him. Hold on. This is what it is. I mean, we'll take a sidetrack. Shador, and I talked to the shout out Bama show. We're talking about it. So Shador basically has the swagger and talk and confidence of Deion Sanders primetime, the best corner that ever existed for a guy, but has the talent of him who was a good college quarterback. He wasn't a Heisman winning, 4,000 yards, 50. He wasn't Joe Burrow in college. He wasn't Cam Newton in college.
He's a top 3 round pick.
Okay, no, you could say based just on the talent. Yeah, what his level is, a top 3 round pick, maybe a second or third rounder. But we know it's in the real world, Fluent. In the real world, especially in sports, you have to look at that talent versus what also comes along with it. So we realize when you're really good at something, you get away with a lot. If you're like if you're Andrew Luck good in college, you can say a lot, get away with it. You're gonna be the first overall pick because you're that good. But when you're a mid-tier, is it worth the circus? Is it worth what it's coming with?
Do you know what comes along with his talent, which is a top 3 round talent? What comes with it is an understanding of the NFL game, an understanding of how to be a professional, an understanding how
to be a professional. I don't know about that. You see the interviews that the claims they said.
Hold on. And what's the one thing you know about his dad that his dad instilled in him? When it's game day, when the lights are on, you are gonna get a guy who shows up to play. Sure, you are going to get a gamer. And so there's not a quarterback in existence that isn't cocky, that thinks they're the best thing since sliced bread. Heck, Ryan Leaf thought he was the greatest quarterback ever. Yeah, as he should. That's what you need from a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, who should have been the number 1 pick at home in San Francisco to play for the Bay Area, Northern California kid. Because of his attitude, he slipped to Green Bay. No, he should have been the first overall pick, dude. He had the talent. And it's like, oh, he's a little cocky. Yes. And they all are.
No, but Shadur's talent didn't match the cockiness. That was a thing. You know what I mean? Like he talked like he was, because again, he was a good college quarterback. And again, this is like the worst college. This is the worst college quarterback class in a long time. So again, I don't think any of these quarterbacks can end up well. Cam Ward being first overall too. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's going to be a generational talent. So yeah, to me, people want to bring up, people don't want to see a confident, cocky black man, this and that. Cam Ward's black was the first overall pick, so it's not a race thing.
Yeah, but he's humble.
And exactly, but again, you know what the NFL likes? NFL kind of likes that guy. You got to fit. NFL's a business. These owners are hiring, and Colin said it best. These owners are hiring employees. These owners are hiring employees, and this is any business. You could be the best accountant in the world, but if the owner doesn't like you, he's not gonna hire you. I could be the best consultant in the world, but if the boss don't like me, he'll be like, all right, it's cool. I'll pass on you.
What I think hurt him more was the Deion Sanders, I'm going to pick where he goes. And listen, Archie Manning did the same thing, but he took it further than Archie because he said, I'm going to dictate where he goes because I know that there's teams that suck, right, that are going to ruin him, and I'm going to coach him. And I think that last line was what pushed it over, is like, well, what if I don't want Deion to coach him? Then I'm going to have his dad. And it's not like Lonzo Ball, right? With all due respect to Lonzo Ball is a nobody in the NBA, right? Like he averaged 1 point a game in college. He did nothing in the NBA. He's a nobody. Deion Sanders, on the other hand, is a highly, highly reputable college coach who's a Hall of Fame NFL player, who is the greatest cornerback ever, in the conversation for greatest football player ever, who was also an all-star baseball player. Like he has way more voice and more ability to bother what's going on than Lonzo Ball times 10. So I think that might have turned some people off, was him, like, even though I don't think he would do it, I think the fear of, he's going to want to be the coach. Now I got to deal with Deion too, right? Like,
and it's also, if he let's just say this, he starts a couple games, or, you know what I mean? Say he plays bad. Let's say he doesn't start. He's on the bench. Deion going to go on camera. Shadur should be starting. That's a story. Shadur should be doing this, or they should be coaching him like this. Like him saying that with the, with the profile that he has and the other he has, that's another thing. So again, it just comes down to
every coach is going to be looking over their shoulder, because it's, if I do something wrong or Shadur doesn't play well, I'm going to get the blame. He's going to go on TV and tell them. And not only that, he'll be coming for my job too, saying, hey, if I was the coach,
okay, so at the end of the day, with Shadur here, like, do you think, like, where would he end up if he wasn't Deion Sanders' child?
Like if all the baggage didn't come with it,
right. Like if the Sanders was not there at all.
To me, late first round, second round, maybe.
Because I've obviously
it's tough to tell, honestly, just because I also feel like he wouldn't have the spotlight as well. Like given that Colorado State wouldn't be as big of a thing without Deion. So would he be as good? Like, would he be considered?
wasn't he supposed to go to Florida State anyways?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was supposed to go to
He was okay, but like either way, because like I know that like Mel Kiper had him in like the top 5. I don't think that would have been the case. Like I don't think that like obviously definitely wouldn't have been the case if without all the baggage. So like he probably would have been like a closer like second like maybe late first, early seconds. Like the Giants obviously he took darts. Like some people are saying that Sanders is better. Maybe he's more talented. I'm not sure. I don't watch enough film for college football, but
I really think he goes early second round, probably to the Saints.
Yeah.
I actually, when the second round came up and I saw the Saints were there, I'm like, oh, I think they're going to take. Like we were live doing playback. We were doing this. No,
Celtics probably Magic. Or the Bucks.
Yes. We're doing the Magic Celtics game, I believe. And I was like, oh, the Saints are taking Sanders here. That's actually a good pick because I think it's a good fit for him in like I could see him. I know this sounds weird. I see him in that uniform. Like that, it makes a lot of sense for him to be with the Saints because he also has like a gadgety backup in Taysom Hill, right? Who can, who they can shift him in and out, which I think helps younger quarterbacks because it's like there's certain plays like those plays that all the damn young quarterbacks get hurt on, those little QB sneaks and like, okay, Hill's gonna run those, no problem, right? And if they get into a little, so I thought it made sense, and then they went with the guy from Louisville, and I was like, oh, he's gonna fall. Once that happened, I'm like, oh, he's gonna fall. Like that's when I knew he was gonna fall. But I think if there was no Dion, I think that's where he gets picked.
Yeah. But to add to it too, I saw reports whether they're true or not. When he had those one-on-one interviews with certain teams, there was one that said he came in wearing headphones. I'm sorry, there's no interview in the world where you come in wearing headphones, right? That's not a thing, right? It's another thing.
That advice to purposely tank those interviews with the teams that he didn't want to go to.
Maybe it was that. They said he wasn't prepared with play because sometimes they ask quarterbacks, draw on the board. What would you do this play, this now? He wasn't prepared. So a lot of things come into play. So again, and Kilpie in the chat, right? Putting up, they're comparing Manning, Mayfield, Manzo, we're all cocky. Shedeur was never those guys in college. Those guys blow him out the water in college. This is another. People really think Shedeur was not them. He was not Cam Newton level, Joe, any of these guys. He wasn't. He was eighth in Heisman, which was fine. I thought he probably should have been lower, but whatever. Again, so he wasn't this for sure first overall pick. He wasn't John Elway good to look. I think there's certain players. If you're really that guy. Right? If Andrew Luck was back in college right now and he was that guy and he wanted to hold out for a team that he could play for, he is good enough where like he could probably make that happen. You're good enough and the league understands that, right? Shedeur just doesn't have the talent to match the way he was acting and talking. It's not even the attitude can be annoying to anyone, but if you're a certain skill level, people overlook it. They'll be like, you know what? You're just so good. We can overlook that attitude thing. But Shedeur, the skill did not match the attitude. And that was the biggest problem.
That's why I liked him backing up Derek Carr. Right, a veteran guy who's been, through it, who could help him along, and like I said, I already mentioned about the Hill thing. Like I thought that would be a really good, and it's indoor. I if I'm a quarterback, I want to play indoors, personally.
True, in the dome, yeah. And I think this was good for Shedeur. I think the way he reacted after he finally got drafted, when his brother asked him, like you can see a different tone in his voice.
Hey, and brother signs with the Bucks too, so now we got two
Bucks, yeah. I think his brother talked about, hey, you want to go make a song? He's like, nah. Like he's ready to work. Like he wants to prove everyone now. Like so, I think he might tone down the talk a little bit, really just try to prove it on the field.
The only problem is the worst thing that could have happened to him happened.
The Browns, hey,
the
Browns.
The Browns and the Bears. Listen, I'm a Bears fan. You see the helmet back there. The Browns and the Bears is the worst organization for quarterbacks. Like it just. I know. What's his name? Mayfield made it work a little bit, but that's not where a quarterback
is he not the best quarterback that they've had in the past 30 years or so? I can't think of one.
For the Browns,
probably Baker Mayfield.
No, that's what I'm thinking. I'm talking about Baker. Like, is he the best one?
Yeah. Baker's the best since probably Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah, Deshaun will probably still start just because the money they're still getting.
Deshaun Watson should have been the best quarterback that they ever had, but that's a story for another day. Listen, we're already an hour in, and we haven't talked about the most important thing. Yes, what just happened on TV there, buddy?
I can't help it. Miles Turner just dunked on Giannis and ferociously.
What could have been?
like this Pacers team, man. I don't know. They could be
It's like
Eastern
annoyingly
Conference
good.
Finals.
I
Team
said I said on my podcast that I was more afraid of the Pacers than I was of the Knicks. So
like if this Pacers team makes back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, like what are they just like a piece away from being like actual contenders?
They're not going to make it because based on what I saw today, the NBA is going to get the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals by hook or by crook because
Yeah.
that was the most atrocious. Atrocious. Like, I don't understand. We've got replays, we've got review, we've got 100 4K cameras, we've got super slow motion, all so that we can get the calls right, especially at the end of the game. And we are going to just sit back and say, oh, yeah, you know what? After review, after the game's done and there's nothing you can do, but you're right. That was totally a foul on Hardaway and he should have been shooting free throws. Like, I'm embarrassed to be an NBA fan when shit like that happens. It's because it's like you have guys sitting there in a booth who can eat like the last 2 minutes. It's supposed to, I know that's an NFL thing, but still they can do a review anytime they want. And it's like, then turn off the fucking cameras. Just turn it all off. Don't give anybody a review. Don't do any replays. Don't do nothing. And just say, oh, we missed it. And that's it. Because I'm so sick of it's human error. No, you said we have the technology and we're going to use it. Then use it when it matters. I don't care. Like, Knick fans are going to be upset. Why? Because the right call was made? Because the right foul was called? He still has to make the free throws. And no offense, Tim Hardaway it's not like it's automatic when the game's on the line and 0 seconds left that he's going to hit him. But like to just let it happen and then right after be like, yeah, our bad. Like, what? It's infuriating. And I'm not even a Pistons fan.
You nailed it right on the head because, like, in the fact that they have to come up with like that 2-minute report and then well, we made these mistakes and we're going to tell you about it. Like, it's almost like doubling down on like the fact that we're going to kind of just like close our eyes and not use the technology in front of us.
Yeah,
and the whole thing of like I know that Adam Silver said that like I've always said like the two least accountable jobs are weathermen and referees as well. So and like I know Adam Silver said like, oh, behind closed doors the refs are held accountable given like they're not put on nationally broadcasted games. They're not scheduled for like the bigger games, which they get paid more.
Extra for
What was that?
I said yeah, which they get paid.
Yeah, and and I'm not saying that's definitely not true, but I have a hard time believing it because I'm sick and tired of seeing Mark Davis and Scott Foster and those guys making god awful calls, and then like they're being on every single nationally broadcasted game in the NBA Finals, and nothing's going nothing, and like they're not being held accountable at all for it.
Okay, so not to get like super topical, but like what about AI? What are your thoughts? Do you think we'll get to like AI refs at some point?
Well, listen, we have the technology in baseball, and they still don't get balls and strikes right. Yet you have like they use it in tennis line, right? They have it and they use it, and they get every call right. And in baseball, I see it 2 feet off, off the plate, and they're calling a strike, and it's like, well, hold on, I see the damn.
They can just use the machine. They can just use the machine. Have the ump wear earpiece and be like, it's
exactly. That's what I should have a thing. It buzzes him when it's a strike, so he can get them all right, so it doesn't show up the umpire because they need to be so important, and just and get it. And you know what? And you are mic'd up, so just be like, if he's about to make a call, hold on. What is it? Hardaway just got fouled. Okay, foul. Right on that last play. Hold on. Like there's so. I've always said what they do is they have the guys up in the replay booth anyways. And so there needs to be a secondary officiating crew that's just up there watching the plays, right, on the screens with the super slow motion HD camera, and just call down and have the conversation. Or like I said, or get rid of it completely. No reviews, no replays, nothing, and human error, and too bad, right? It's one or the other, the middle ground where it's like, for example, well, we can only review this part of the play. So, for example, Rudy Gobert forearms LeBron James in the back of the head. Oh, it's a flagrant. Okay, well, what about the box out that should have been a foul? That made the wheels turn, and why Rudy Gobert. Listen, they always get the guy that retaliates. But if you're going to review it, well, then give James a common foul because he did, and then him the flagrant because yes, you can forearm someone in the back of the head. I agree 100%. But it's like all of those plays where it's like, well, we can't look at that first part, but here's the second part. What? Like, oh,
Yeah, it's weird.
Who did the ball go off of? Right. This is the one that kills me. Sorry, and I'll let you go in 1 second. Who did the ball go off of? Oh, it went off Tony. Well, why did it go off me? Well, because he pushed me. Oh, well, we can't look at that. We were only looking at who touched the ball. Yeah, but he two-handed pushed me out of bounds. It's right there. You can see it. Make the right call. That's
between that and the one that drives me up a wall is a play is reviewed and then they say, oh, this might be the right call, but there's not enough evidence to overturn it. What? Not enough evidence? No, it's either the right call or the wrong call. Why? What do you mean there's not enough evidence? Tell me whether it's the right call or the wrong call, and then overturn it. What does that even mean?
Well, there's certain. Okay, I'm with you, and I'm not, because there's certain instances, like for example, in football, when he's trying to cross the goal line and there's like 75, 300-pound guys all in a bunch, and you don't know where the ball is, it's inconclusive. Like there's certain plays. Yeah. But there's other ones where you're like, hold on, he went like this.
I feel like basketball is in the case like there's so many plays with that. Yeah. Football for sure, and even like a little bit of baseball, like when like the guy slides under the catcher's glove, like is the so like that's like another scenario as well. Like basketball, I feel like that's not the case.
A little more open. You should.
I think
So we, more or less, it's 2025, and human error for refs is outdated, right?
But I mean, you can't do it the whole game though. You can't have like every single play magnetized where like every single hit or missed call is going to be reviewed, right?
But you say that based on the premise that yes, we can't do that. We don't have the technology.
Not even technology. I just think the product would be effective.
It would make the game.
I think we'll get to a point where the speeds will be right there, though.
Here's the thing. I think there's certain things that you want to watch out for, but also, I think end of quarters, end of halves, end of game, you need to be a little bit tighter with it. But I really liked, I hated that my Lakers lost, but I really liked the fact that they were letting them, I don't know if you noticed, a lot of hand checking.
I was going to say, Jaden McDaniels was hand checking every single time on Luka.
And I was like, because I think that's something they want to allow back into the game without maybe changing the
Lakers are going to make a call to the league what's going on with the hand checking.
But I think it makes it better. I think it creates it gives perimeter defenders a chance to defend, right? So I love the fact that they're as long as they call it the same, right? As long as it's not like I push you, nothing, you push me, it's a foul. No. As long as they call it equal on both ways, I'm okay with that. As long as it's consistent, you know, there could be holding on every. I know I'm going back to football because it's easier to pick on football. There could be a holding on every single play. Oh, I don't call it until fourth quarter with 1 second left when the home team throws an incomplete pass on third down. Nah, dude, come on, there needs to be some consistency.
Hey, Anthony Edwards got 4 pushes on LeBron before they called something. I was like, wait, what's going on? Yeah, I was like, wait, what's going on here? Someone go blow.
No, they actually never called any of the pushes. They only called when LeBron actually went up and he wrapped his arm around his back, and that's what they called. They actually never called any of the pushes. And again, as long as LeBron could do it back to him on the other end, it
was cool.
I'm fine with it as long as it's consistent.
Yeah.
Speaking of rules, I know this is a still image, but I want your I'm going to put you a little NBA rule trivia. What is this?
Blocked by James. The GOAT is what it is.
That is pinned against the backboard, correct? Is that what we're trying to see?
Yeah, his hand, the ball, and the backboard are all, and he's pinned it against the backboard.
I don't think you're allowed to pin it, are you? I don't think you're allowed to pin it. You just have to hit it, and that's to bounce off the backboard, I'm pretty sure.
Well, you got to make sure it doesn't touch the backboard first.
Well, legal or illegal?
Touch the backboard first. You have to if it touches the backboard, it becomes goaltending.
But even before you touch the backboard, I don't know if you're allowed to just pin it against the thing. I just think you have to swat it away. I don't know. I feel like that's a rule.
Chris,
I could be wrong.
I've definitely seen it multiple times before. Where I've seen someone pin it against the backboard, nothing's been called. So So I'm sure you're going to come back with the actual rule and say it's against the rules and it should be goaltend. But when I watched that play, I didn't think it was goaltending at all.
So Ori talked about a different rule, Rule 11, Section I, paragraph B, where if the ball touches the backboard and then you touch it, it's a goaltend. Everyone's familiar with that one. Now, there's a caveat to that one. It's only if the ball is going up or coming down and hits the backboard above the rim. Just as so, if the ball is below the rim and it hits the backboard, you can touch it. You can hit it because it's coming down and it's below the rim. But typically, it's going up or down above the rim, and that you're correct. If it touches, it happened to Naz Reid on a LeBron layup. It hit the backboard, and then Naz Reid touched it, and it was a goaltend. The rule, however, Rule 11, Section I, Paragraph E, states that if any time after the ball has been released from the shooter, if these three things happen simultaneously, okay, so it has to be at the same time because you can bat it off the backboard, like Jalen said. However, if your hand is ever on the ball and it's pinned up against the backboard, that is an automatic goaltend. And that is a call that they have not made in about 5-6 years. And I confirmed it with my NBA ref, who's a friend, who said, yeah, absolutely, that is the rule, but we never call it. And I can't tell you which NBA ref I talked to. It was not the one who I interviewed. It was not because he wanted on anonymity because he didn't want to get in trouble. But it's something that they've been told to just kind of stay away from because the block where it gets like slapped off the backboard happens right, and it's close because if you pin it, so that play by rule, they're never going to call it that play by rule, goaltend. The block in the finals by LeBron, goaltend. The amazing two-handed, you guys all remember
Ron Mercer.
Jordan against Mercer as a Wizard, two-hand pin against the backboard, goaltend.
Yeah.
So I'm like, either call it, and I said to him when we were talking on the phone, I said, call it or eliminate it from the rule book. And he goes, yeah, there's a lot of rules in there that we're not supposed to call or that we're supposed to focus on.
At least they're consistent. I mean, they're not calling it. They're like, okay.
And they don't call it on anybody. But I got into it with a couple of geniuses on Twitter who are like, you don't know the rules. Don't talk about my LeBron like that. I'm like, it has nothing to do with LeBron, you dummy. It was the most recent one, but I gave the Jordan example too on Mercer. And it's
funny. Speaking of the devil, what did you guys think about the Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Clippers, Aaron Gordon buzzer beater?
I think it was
that was quite controversial as well. I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure because everyone's like, his hands on the ball, in the rim with the ball, the red light going off at the same time. Like, I just want to make sure.
Was his hand still on the ball when the light went off?
According to this picture, like I saw a picture and it shows
the picture I saw
like the ball's like it was tough. Like it looks like his hands are on it, but it looked like it was below the cylinder a little bit. But like it's just I don't know.
It was weird.
If he's touching the ball, it's a shot clock violation because he has to have it released, like no touching at all.
I thought it was released.
Yeah, that's why I think like with that like a second by second slow motion, it is very, very close.
Oh, listen, what did I tell you, man? Clippers gonna clip. Something's gonna happen. And Clippers are the San Diego Chargers of the NBA. They'll find a way to blow
tough way to lose
the whole series. Which is crazy that play because I don't know that I've ever seen
an air ball into a dunk for a game winner.
Yeah. No, it was an alley-oop. What are you talking about?
Right? Hey, what a pass!
That was the greatest assist of all time.
Hey,
yeah, that was insane. And just when we thought like, we have this clip, we had Trista Crick on Fluent and Chill on Tuesday, and I've queued up this clip. I'm still going to play it, but where we talking about, man, what's wrong with Jokic? Right? Like he has 7 turnovers, throwing the ball away to Kawhi Leonard, hesitating on open threes to tie the game. He's like, and then drives in and turns the ball over. Like, what's wrong with him? And then he,
what a crazy game.
Okay, here you go. And speaking of which, this is the perfect segue for this statistic. So currently in the playoffs, as of right this moment, Nikola Jokic is leading the NBA in 23 different statistical categories
for the playoffs.
Damn. 23
categories. 3 game sample.
That's 4 games.
3 or 4.
4 game sample. Yeah. He's leading in 23 stats, including like every advanced stat, every metric you could possibly.
Right.
The 4.
except points per game, which Giannis is averaging 35.7, except for today because Jalen bet the over.
It'd be like
Well,
that.
now-
It really be like that.
The irony with the MVP, obviously in consideration, SGA is going to get it, but nonetheless, the funny piece is SGA is leading in 4 categories. They happen to be field goals attempted, field goals missed, free throws made, and 2-point field goals attempted.
SGA's having a bad playoffs.
That
For
is-
him, he's just borderline.
Sure
he's
is.
having bad playoffs.
But,
Yeah.
but hold on. But I'm not defending SGA because I think Jokic is the MVP and playoffs don't matter in MVP voting. That
Right.
being said, when you're up 40 points, there's a little bit of a lackadaisical, and I think that's shame on him because he shouldn't, because it might create.
But he played bad in the first quarter. Like he
But-
should
yeah,
like 2 for 10 in the first quarter.
I know, but that might have been. There's a lot of expectations first time, really, with that much expectations on them. But yeah, they're still they're winning.
They are winning. That comeback. I was so funny. Me and my friend were joking around when they were down like 20 something. So you guys should take the OKC money line. It was like -8 up, like plus 800. No one took it, and they end up coming back.
Oh, I should have taken it.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to get hurt, but listen, it's you talk about the most attempted. Do you know which team wins the NBA final 9 out of 10 times? It's the team that shoots the most threes, not the one that makes the most or has the highest percentage. It's the one that just shoots the most. So he's doing what works.
He's shooting a lot of twos and shooting a lot of free throws, which is basically what we expect.
But I was told that a player isn't allowed to get his props if he's inefficient, and then his super team is able to pick him up. Is Shea on a super team, or does that make him disqualified for MVP? Is that the case, or is that only the case with Jason Tatum? I'm confused.
I mean, look, I'm when you're on a great team.
With your Celtics agenda, what are you asking? You really asking?
You think SGA's on a great team and he's being carried by his teammates when he's playing bad, which should eliminate him, or because he's on a great team and he plays well, he should be eliminated like Jason Tatum. That's what we say about Jason Tatum, right? He's great, but his team is so good that's hard to give him the MVP because without him, they're still so good and they can still win games.
Well, back in the day, the MVP was like the best player on the best team who also put up top 5 statistics in most of the categories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what has creeped in the last decade or so has been, narrative. The narrative. How many has he won? What will it mean for the all-time legacy? Blah, 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 blah. I hate that shit. Like Nikola Jokic, where did Denver end up being? The
4th seed?
4th seed?
Yeah.
Like,
4.
like considering his lack of sidekicks and the numbers he put up, like that should be your MVP.
Well, you said it perfectly that time you made the point where you were like, if
he never won any before.
He never won any. Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like if we could keep that, I mean, isn't that keeping it objective?
Yeah, but that's the thing. But it's too much of this. It's too much. Listen. I've always said Embiid won his because they were like, oh well, he might have, should have, could have won. No, he won MVP because Kendrick Perkins started a race war a month before the voting ended.
Yeah.
I think it maybe, but I also think it had to do with he had been second for a couple of years in a row.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that's it. Yes,
due to win one.
He was also due. Yeah.
If he puts up those kind of numbers again, and then Kendrick Perkins did that too, so like, oh yeah, okay, we have to vote for him or else we're racist. But it's like, no, sorry, you weren't the MVP that year. I don't care. Like you missed. Like Derrick Rose, I'm sorry, was not the MVP. Like there's so many where I'm just like,
Karl Malone over Jordan.
Karl Malone. Well, but then Jordan over Malone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, probably. Barkley. Russell Westbrook. Oh, we haven't seen a triple double in forever, so he should be the MVP. I'm like no.
I'm not mad at the Westbrook thing because at the time that was iconic. Like it was legendary. That triple double thing, we didn't think it'd be so. Now it's been a little normalized because more and more players. But when it happened,
you mean more and more players? He's the only one who did it. He just
more and more players are getting closer to it. You see, like the 25,
just Jokic.
10 and 9.
It's because Jokic took what Westbrook did and now made it look pedestrian.
But even like what Sabonis is like close. You know what I mean?
No, but okay, but Sabonis is a what 20-point triple double? Like he's not.
Yeah, I know. But
he's like 27. Yeah.
Westbrook on the score, that's not talked about enough. Is that Westbrook on the scoring top of the year that he won? They won MVP too. So so that was the most impressive thing, I think.
Right. But also shooting 41% from the field. So you got
where did OKC finish?
What,
Six?
6?
6.
Yeah.
Sorry, it doesn't equate to winning. It's
Right.
just, I hate to say it, but if you're not a top 4 seed, then it's just stats. And that's
That's not
great.
true.
And that's great. It's the same thing with Wilt. Wilt put up 50 a game and came in 3rd in MVP voting because it didn't
Yes.
equate to wins.
I think that's exactly what makes Jokic so impressive. Is like he's also like he's the statistical guy that's completely dominating statistics in a way we've never seen before since Wilt, and yet he has a tremendous impact on winning as well. Like the advanced stats show that his value over replacement player, win shares. This is how you're supposed to put up numbers and affect winning.
Yeah, like listen, how many players are on bad teams and they put up like numbers and then they go somewhere good and they're like, whoa, how come they dropped 10 points per game? Well, yeah, because they can't just jack up it. Like, do you guys remember a guy named Jared Jack?
Absolutely.
Yeah, quality backup point guard everywhere.
Yeah. Go look at his numbers the year he was on like 19-win Toronto Raptor team.
Mm-hmm.
Was cooking.
He
Remember
superstar.
Remember Mike James in Toronto? He had that year where he gave us like 20 a night.
Mike James is another one. Yeah.
Was that the one? Was that the one that went on Player's Choice and then spilled all the dirty laundry about KD leaving Brooklyn?
No, different guy.
Yeah, okay. I've heard of that one. Yeah,
that one was actually fun. I like that guy.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's
Jokic is Jokic, man. Jokic is doing his thing.
I hate the fact that like the best.
I went back to Wilt. So Wilt in a 9-team league, when he averaged 50 points per game, his team went 49-31.
Ooh.
And you had a 60-win team, a 50-win team. Like, how do you give him the MVP?
It's 50. That's a round number. It's 50. Who was the second leading scorer in this season? Who was the second highest scorer that season?
Assuming Elgin Baylor.
Elgin Baylor, I imagine.
At like what, 30?
38? Yeah.
36, yeah.
Man, so averaging 14, so averaging 30. So what, averaging close to almost 30% more than the next guy? That's tough.
No, actually, no. It was Walt Bellamy at 31.6.
Oh my gosh, even more. That's like 40% great.
Bob Pettit. It's funny. People tell me there was never a time when so many people averaged 30 points per game like there is now. But this year, Walt Bellamy 31.6, Bob Pettit 31.1, Jerry West 30.8, Oscar 30.8, and Richie Guerin, a name none of you know, 29.5 per game. Do you?
You're telling me Wilt average 40% more points than the second guy? That's insane. That's absurd. I give it to him MVP. I don't care what the other stats are. 40% more points than somebody else. You know how insane that is? That would be like, someone averaging 35 today, and the second highest guy would have to average like what, close to 18? Like that's absurd. Or like 21, whatever it is.
It's absurd only in certain contexts though, because like if you're averaging that and your team's like mediocre.
I mean, his team is 18 games above 500. So I mean, mediocre.
Well, he was also playing like 10 more minutes a game than everybody.
Hey, that cardio, W cardio.
Doing the 48 minutes a game.
And how do you feel about the 15 point per game drop when he went into the playoffs?
Hey, again, the other team has the
game.
Well,
as you said, that part doesn't matter.
Oh,
yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'd rather have Elgin Baylor, who was the leading scorer in the playoffs at 38.6.
I got like those teammates. So I might be higher on Wilt than most. Everyone seems to be bashing on Wilt these days. It ain't real. He's playing against scrubs. Man.
Wilt suffers from the same thing that I think Rick Barry suffers from, in the sense that people I think are okay with shots. Well, no, right. They're okay with putting him lower on lists because people don't really like him. Like if you read about Wilt Chamberlain and you study Wilt Chamberlain, he wasn't liked. He was
cocky. He was cocky.
He was a narcissist. He was an arrogant. He was mean to people. He had a way about him, like you read some of the old stories, like that drove people nuts. And so I think like
he was very. I don't care that he was a jerk, to be honest, because Michael Jordan was a complete asshole. But what I hold against Wilt, like I said, is the huge drop in the playoffs. That when he was the best player on the team, they did not win, right? Like, okay, he went to a Laker team with Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, where he did well in the playoffs. But if go look at that season, he was not the by far best player on that team. Like he was old Wilt. He was different. And so there's too many negatives. He didn't, for a guy that was bigger than everybody else, to shoot under 50% from the field, to shoot 50% from the free throw line. Just there's so many negatives against him. The 2-4 in the NBA finals. And like I said, one of those 2 wins, he's not the best player on the team. Like, there's just so many negatives against Wilt that it's just like, and listen, you talked about the 100 points not being real. There's literally 10 reasons why you shouldn't believe he scored the 100, and only one why you believe it. Literally one. That's it. So, people should question why, when you're, trying to build up a league and you take an off-site team to build it up, you don't even send a reporter. Forget a camera.
We got to get somebody who was at the game on the show. If they're still alive.
I've had someone who was at the game.
Oh, there you go.
And here's the thing. What they said is, well, yeah, they told us he scored 100. And I said, how do you know? Well, don't. Because no one goes to a game, especially back then. And what, you think it's like a baseball game where they're keeping score? No. And I challenged everybody. I said, go to a basketball game. Don't look up at the scoreboard. I know it's going to be hard. Don't look at the scoreboard. Just watch the game and enjoy it like you would as a fan. Go get your popcorn, go get your hot dog, and tell me who the highest score was and how many points you scored.
So,
and then, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like back when I was on JV, like my sophomore year, like if we wanted to, we were like able to like go to the varsity games and like work on the stats. It would take like 5 or 6 people to like chess pay attention. So one day like I was like chess focused on, okay, you have to focus on whether a guy gets his assist or turnover. So like, yeah, it's like a whole team of people that have to focus on chess that and that's in today's day. Like, I'm sure like back in the day back then, I'm sure it was like 2 people that had to focus on like once. Yeah.
One guy. And here's the thing. Here's where it gets even crazier. Okay. So now I've challenged you to go watch the game and as a fan and tell me who the highest scorer and how many points there were. You've already admitted that it won't happen. Now I'll challenge you to do this. Go put on like smoky glasses, because everybody was smoking back then. And go watch a game. No, go watch a game. Now I know this is gonna be a little bit harder. I've done this, and so I've actually been fortunate enough, because our good friend Jack Armstrong and a friend of mine who's a scorekeeper at the Raptor game, I got press credentials to one game, and I got to sit in that front row. Go sit in that front row and watch the game, going back and forth, and I want you on a piece of paper with a pencil to mark down every point that every player scored, every rebound, and every assist, and every foul for every player for the whole game. Don't look at a TV monitor because you don't have one. Okay. And then compare your stats, and you can do it from anywhere on the court, really, but it's harder because if I'm here, just people forget, if I'm sitting here and I'm watching the game, if there's something happening on the other end of the court and I've got 4 7-footer, okay, fine, 6, 7 guys in front of me, I can't necessarily see who did what all the time, right? Just like any other sport. So I want you to go do it with your pencil, do the whole game. Tell me how neat it is, first of all. Okay? Tell me how neat it is. But and then go back and look at the stats and tell me how accurate your numbers were for every single player. Here's where it gets worse. One guy did it, and do you know what his full-time job was?
Mechanic? I don't know.
Plumber. Just kidding.
There's only listen, don't just side note, one plumber ever played in the NBA. His name was Sam Glick. He played 1 game and he went 0 for 1 from the field. And he's the only plumber who ever played in 1951. Sam Glick. He was the only plumber to actually ever play.
There we go. That I'm glad I'm more familiar. That's something I'm glad I know. That's
what was his full-time job?
I want you to give me some guesses.
Okay. Teacher.
Accountant.
Mailman.
I'll give you a hint. It was in the NBA.
Oh, he worked in the NBA.
Yes, he did.
So
as a
was he like an assistant coach?
I want to find his name because I'm drawing a blank. Harvey Pollack. So Harvey Pollack was the one guy who was keeping score. His full-time job, he was the PR guy for the Warriors.
oh,
Ooh.
wonderful.
PR guy for the Warriors. It makes
Cool.
So you're telling me the PR guy for the Warriors is sole scorekeeper of this miraculous game in Harvey, Pennsylvania that they're using to build up the game and for news articles.
Is he alive?
No,
No, so not. Yeah,
but he is on. He is on record. He is on record as saying it was phenomenal. It was amazing. He scored 100 points, but he is on record as saying he was scoring so much at some point. I just thought Wilt was scoring everything. Now he didn't mean it. I guarantee you didn't mean it in a way to say he was just giving him all the points.
Yeah, but
he did say it felt like he was scoring everything. Is like, so maybe he just kind of gave him
pretty
everything.
hard to ignore the pretty apparent bias that probably existed.
And just for the record,
sure,
the radio broadcast is fake. And here's how I know the radio broadcast is fake. You know how they did radio broadcasts? One of two ways. One, there was a cameraman that was actually recording it, and the guys were watching it, and they would commentate what they saw on the screen. Or the radio broadcast team was in the stadium. Here's the problem. No cameraman were sent, so there was no feed for them to radio broadcast from, and there was no radio broadcasters sent to Hershey, Pennsylvania, because they weren't set up in that little stadium to do a radio broadcast. So how did they get the last 2 minutes that magically appeared 10 years later from a guy who said, "Oh, I recorded it. He recorded it off the radio," is what he said. 10 years later. "Oh, and I recorded over most of it except the last 2 minutes." Oh, and by the way, the last 2 minutes where it says, Will Chamberlain turns and hits a hook shot for his 100th point. Every player who was at the game said, no, he didn't. He drove left and dunked. So is it a right-handed hook or is it a left-handed dunk? I'm confused. Every single player that was there said he went left and dunked, but the radio broadcast said pandemonium. They all rushed the floor and they didn't finish the game, but they did finish the game. They 100% finished the game.
We'll never know.
That's wild. Like
I think we do know.
Obviously, there's enough. Like you make a compelling enough case because I've heard you talk about this a little before. Like I find it strange that like why would the NBA need to like hold on to this so hard? Like could
you imagine the scandal if they found out that he actually didn't score exactly 100 points?
But given all like the way that you're describing it, like theoretically, we could all just say like it was human error. It was a 50s. It was a different the olden days. I feel like we could. Yeah. I feel like given the timetable, we could kind of explain.
And Kobe would have the record, which a lot of people would probably like.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah, Kobe having the record could be a thing. That'd be interesting. But again, there's no way to disprove it.
When the only proof is we have a score sheet.
Yeah.
That there's no way. I'm sorry. Did you see the score sheet? There's no way. There's no way one guy in a game that they scored over 300 points combined, it's that neat and tidy. No chance in hell. It's just there's too many question marks. And now look, here's the thing. People have always said, so maybe he scored 101 or 100. Maybe.
Could go 95, 96. Still
more likely he scored like 87. Which is still phenomenal. But I'll just ask you this: any of you guys do marketing?
I used to.
Okay, if you want to market your league, and you take your games and you do them off-site, so more people can view them and you can get a bigger audience, you wouldn't televise the guy who's averaging 50 points per game? Like. It's like Barnum and Bailey's circus. Like we've got the bearded lady, but no, don't look at her. We're gonna keep her behind.
What is the reason for no televast at that time? What's the reason they gave?
They just didn't do it. They just didn't send them to that game. They didn't send them to all the games anyways.
Yeah, exactly at that time, right?
At that time, but it's not like it wasn't. What's his name? Harvey Pollack was also the head, I believe, of NBC televised sports. He easily could have said, "Hey."
Yeah, clearly, like, I mean, at the very least, the guy has plenty of reason to do what he did. So, I mean, that in itself is enough to kind of make you go, well.
The Knicks weren't a very good team, but they were still the New York Knicks, right? So it's still like there's reasons when the Knicks are bad, they're still on TV. You still put the Knicks and the Lakers, you still put those guys on the TV even when they're bad. So, Anyways,
Might as well add this to the mood landing is fake. They haven't gone back since. Why haven't they gone back since?
Listen, I don't know about that moon landing, but I'll tell you this: Katy Perry did not go up into friggin' space.
Oh yeah, that was
yeah,
they ain't no astronauts.
Fake.
Yep, I agree.
Did you see when they opened the door?
Oh
and
yeah,
then
they were.
Rushes over and closes the door, and then he pulls this machine out to like take out the bolts and then open them. Like, we all saw the door opened already, bro. Like, why are you pretending to unscrew it? Like, it even looks fake. The whole them taking off and going.
They went somewhere. They went really high, maybe like at the edge of the atmosphere.
I don't think they went anywhere.
Even if it was real, no, it was not an accomplishment. They did jack. They weren't the ones flying the plane. They just hopped in the rocket ship, and then they some other person, just whether it was
it's just a rich person's extravaganza.
Yes,
that's exactly it. Like even if it was real, like what are we celebrating here?
Yeah.
Katy Perry and some other girl went up the hill, each with a bucket and a quarter, and Katy Perry came down with 250. Like that's.
Hey, shout out Katy Perry, man. There was during my university days, she was that girl. She was everywhere.
Sure.
She was. Yeah.
Kissing the ground, like what? Like
a little much.
This has been a quality episode. Just for the
who should have got to space to avoid issues.
The NFL, and we're ending on Katy Perry. Like this.
Hey, who should have got to space to avoid everything? Shannon Sharp, man. Should have went to space, man. She should have shown the space, Shannon. Hey, but my boy innocent, man. My boy innocent. It's just shakedown. What are you gonna do?
No, I don't.
He's still degenerate even if he's innocent.
I was gonna say he's clearly a degenerate.
If you want to say he's a weirdo or a creep, whatever, that's fine.
He's 54 and she's 19.
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. Obviously, yeah.
Respect. I'm sorry. I get it. If you can do it,
he's not the first guy to do it. We know billionaires have been doing it.
I get it, but I will say this to anybody, famous or not famous. You're 54. Get yourself fine. You want to have that kind of fun? Pay yourself a discreet, escort, whatever, do your thing and have your NDA and keep it under wraps. Otherwise, if you want to date, because he said he was dating her, find yourself a nice, respectable woman. And trust me, a woman in their 30s, 40s will do the same nasty stuff that she'll do and won't talk about it. Like,
facts.
You know what thing is? Not to be like a strange guy or like to get on this too much, but like I've never understood the appeal of the young 18-year-old and I'm 50-year-old. I guess I just not to sound ignorant, but I feel like once you get a certain generation apart, the amount of things that you have in common mutually.
It's not about that.
It's not a personality. It's about the body,
the firmness.
Yeah, it's all that. Yeah. I just think with Shannon, look, I understand when sometimes I understand when these billionaire finance guys or whatever, they come to a certain age, 50, 60, they're with 20-year-olds. Because I feel like they haven't experienced girls maybe not coming after them in their 20s or 30s or whatever. I feel like with Shannon, you're an athlete. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He probably had it going on in college, in his 20s, 30s. So I'm like, at some point, I'd be like, if you got it going on for a while, you got to get sick of it. I think Chris Brown said in the interview, he's like, yeah, after my 20s, it got annoying. You know what I mean? Like having girls constantly throwing themselves. Yeah, at some point, you would think. But hey, Leonardo DiCaprio still doing it. Robert Kraft, doing it. Bill Belichick still doing it.
They're different. They are having very public dating of these people, very publicly, very open, very whatever. This was respectfully, if you find yourself in a conversation, quote unquote, in an entanglement with an IG or an OnlyFans model, you should know my job is to sell sex for money. So what do you think I'm going to do to you other than try to take your money? There's the text message, I think, where she said she wants to have his baby. Why does she want his baby? Because she wants that child's
paycheck. Facts.
That drives me nuts, where I say, when you do stuff like that, when you're a billionaire, millionaire, whatever, 100 million, and you drink and drive when you can easily have a car service, those things, I'm just like, well, then you're stupid. 100%. Then you're stupid. This is going to sound a little gory, and I apologize. You see the story sometimes where kid was doing 150 miles an hour and wrapped his car around a telephone pole and died. I'm like, well, what'd you expect to happen when you were doing 150 miles an hour down a residential street? You're going to wrap it around the telephone pole. That's what's going to happen. So it's I'm sorry for your family, but you're an idiot. And so same type of thing. I'm like, you know what you're getting into, and when this happens, you're an idiot. You should know that's going to happen.
100%. I would say with the athletes, I always say I made a TikTok video about this. So I'm like, if I'm a freshman athlete, look, if I want to have my fun with the Instagram model, OnlyFans model, whatever, I'm like, that's cool. But I never understood like marrying them. I could never marry an OnlyFans model. People got upset. I'm like, those aren't the girls you marry. Those are girls you want to have a 1 week vacation with somewhere. All the power to you. Do you know? But you're trying to make her the mother of your kids. What's wrong with you? Who would want the mother of their kids to be an OnlyFans model?
There's that show where they get a bunch of them on and they're like, I'm a high value woman. No, you're not. You're not.
Yeah, it's yeah, those shows, but they just get girls from Miami who are all influencers.
Do what you got to do to make your living and get your pay, whatever. But don't expect someone to be like, you're OnlyFans. Oh, that's awesome. I would love to marry you and have you be the mother of my kids.
Can you imagine like bringing hopes? Like, Matt, if Fluent Jr. brought home his first girl he wants to marry, 25, and she's OnlyFans model, what are you going to say to Fluent?
If he brought any girl at 25 and wanted to marry her, I'd slap him outside the back of the head because
hey, there you go. Look, I mean, hey,
because,
that's young.
like,
I just kind of young. I hear you.
Like anyone, listen, it's not like the old days when parents, were living on a farm in Greece and they had to get married by 20 or they were considered, old maids because they had to pop out kids at 20 because they needed farm hands. And, and by the time you're 40, you're dying. Like like, Those days are done. Those days are done.
Yeah.
I actually it's actually funny. I say people need to know who they are and understand that. And I applaud them when they make those decisions. Mary J. Blige recently came out and said, listen, I have nieces and nephews. I have no interest in fighting for a babysitter and putting anyone else's needs ahead of my own. That's why I never had kids. And I'm like, okay, so you're a selfish narcissist and you know that about yourself. Good for you. That's exactly what I said. Yeah. Good for you. And I get all these people, how could you call her selfish? And I didn't call her that. She said that. She said, I can never see myself putting someone else's needs ahead of my own. Right. That's a selfish narcissist. And I said, good for her, because the worst thing you could do is be that way and then have kids and ignore them.
Exactly.
So good for her. And they all, oh my God, they went crazy on me. I'm like, it's not me. I'm not the problem. You're the problem.
You're
right?
About it.
You want to be an OnlyFans girl? No problem. Just understand you're going to be a single mom. And that's okay. As long as you're ready for that. No problem.
But you can't say that because you'll be, you're judging. You're judging. You're this and that.
Reality.
Yeah.
It's reality.
100%. That's reality. 100%. I'm with you.
Well, and it goes every way, both ways. It's not. It's one of those things where I think it just becomes like once you start to like kind of trigger certain reactions within like a system, it's hard to. I guess it's hard to like have a sustainable relationship when you're kind of in that scenario as your job.
It's I'll leave it on this because someone said this and I was like, I never thought of it this way, but they were like, well, what about the guys that do that? And like everyone's like, well, it's different. And I'm like, it sucks that it's different because I have a daughter too, and it sucks that it's different, but it's different. And someone said this. They said, check this out, Ori, if I have a can of pop or soda, depending on where you live in the world, okay, and I hold the can of pop or beer, whatever, and I pass it to Chris, and Chris passes the pop to Jalen, and Jalen passes it to you, would you drink it?
After it's just passed?
Yeah, I just held it on the outside, gave it to Chris gave it to Jalen, Jalen gave it to you.
Okay, good question. Is it
just like this? I'm holding it. I gave it to Chris.
Well, the open glass rule.
Fine.
With us.
Fine, it's closed. Whatever. Fine, it's closed.
Okay, yeah.
Just,
No,
but all we did was
I would take it.
Pass it. Like, okay. Let me ask you.
I don't have to worry about the sort of thing because
Okay, so let me ask you this: if this same glass is filled with beer, and I dip my finger in it, and then Chris dips his finger in it, and then Jalen dips his finger in it, would you drink it?
Absolutely not.
Well, that's the difference.
Hey, talk about it, 100%. And look, I got in trouble for this too.
I didn't like that, but
how does this episode turn out to? Come on.
Some double standard. To me, some double standards. It is what it is. And obviously, you hear about like these teachers hooking up with high school students, this and that. I think when a 16, 17-year-old dude in high school hooks up with, let's say, a hot teacher, 25, versus a 25-year-old male teacher hooking up with a 16-year-old girl, two different things. I think the guy, as someone who was 16, 17 years old in high school and she's a very hot teacher, I'm like, all right, cool.
There's definitely.
I disagree.
To me, it's different. To me, it's different. I know a lot of people disagree.
I'm a 25. No, I'm a 25-year-old teacher. If any of my lady colleagues did that, I'm judging them big time.
I just don't think a 25-year-old teacher.
No,
I just don't think a 25 teacher to a 16, 17-year-old boy is like manipulating them or taking advantage. It's like
it is.
You know what you're. I think a 16, 17-year-old dude, you know what you're doing.
You think a 16, 17-year-old boy is smart enough not to get manipulated? There's 50-year-old men that get
It's
manipulated.
not really manipulated. He got excited and he wants to do what he wants to do.
Got manipulated by a 19-year-old girl.
Men like
But it's not like
mature later than women too. Like that's
Sure,
actually
but-
Yeah, exactly.
To me,
so
it's
much more
almost like they're
mature.
not manipulating. Like the guy's not being manipulated in some like.
Jalen,
the
I
same
think
way a girl would. I
I
don't
think you're giving it a double standard because as a male, you'd be like, I'd be cool with it.
100%.
yeah,
That's
which is,
100%.
which is a common trope. So
yeah,
it's definitely
but
understandable.
I'll disagree. I'll agree with Chris and I'll disagree with you because I think there's a power dynamic between a teacher and a student that shouldn't be crossed. And having a wife who's an investigator who does those cases for like government and healthcare, a doctor doing it, a nurse doing it, like there's reasons why they all get investigated and charged. It's because there's a power dynamic, and when a boss does it to a subordinate, like that's the dynamic that you have. So could a 17, 18-year-old high school kid be like, yeah, I want my teacher and I'll go do it? Sure. But in most cases, when it's especially the teacher who's initiating, like I get it. The guys will give high fives and whatever.
Yeah, it's different. I'd say it's different culture within that.
There is but there's still a manipulation. And there's
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I just think it's.
I'll tell you, listen, there's a teacher, now it's male, female. There's a teacher that was the volleyball coach at my high school.
Volleyball coach.
We all know was dating one of the students.
Hello.
And then they ended up getting married. And guess what? I'm still of the belief that, I'm sorry, dude, I won't say his name. But I'm still of the thing like, dude, that was wrong. Like,
He got played.
That's wrong. Like, let her graduate, let her go to college. You want to go, accidentally bump into her at a restaurant when she's a couple of years removed and be like, okay, cool. Different. Like the fact that they dated like throughout high school, like that's fair. It's just wrong. It's wrong.
Well, that's it. At the end of the day, the gender doesn't matter. Like grooming's grooming. Like it's all bad stuff.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I hear that. But again, there's more double standards. Like every day, hey, a guy goes out, a girl could easily come up to me coming out, hey, and just grab you on the chest. I do that, I'm going to jail. That double standard is cool.
Well, there's the difference.
I don't mind. There's a difference, 100%. I'm okay with that double standard. I'm okay with that double standard. I'm just saying, I'm okay with that. You want to take a feel? I'm good. We could.
You say that, but guess what? There'll be a time when you're a husband and a dad, and let's say you're out at Cane's having chicken wings or chicken fingers with the kids. I love Cane's, by the way. Raising Cane's. Shout out. Delicious. Oh, delicious. Anyways, and you're out with your kids and they're waiting in line and girl does that to you and your wife is there. Well, I guarantee you feel a whole lot different.
That's true. The clubs seem different. The clubs are different. I hear you. It's probably a little different. That's true. I hear you on that. Different atmospheres, different
there's a time and a place and an age.
That
said, we're coming up on the midnight hour. I am going to end on something sad, because our thoughts and prayers do go out to the Filipino community in Vancouver. That was ridiculous. I don't even know what to say about it. So I always I hate bringing that stuff up, but there's good people out there. That was horrible. That would happen. We will be back next week. Round 2 will be started for most series. So we'll make our round 2 picks. Anything else you guys got going on this week?
Political show. Me and Pirate got our dirty politics on this network right here. We got Canada's election coming up.
Are you going to recap the election in Canada?
100%. Yeah, we're thinking about Pirate. If we might do it Tuesday night. Just do it right night of the election if we get the news. To see what happens in Canada. It's either going to be the greatest.
Tomorrow. It's Monday.
Monday, but we think maybe we get. I don't know. Will we get it? We'll get it right away Monday. Maybe I'm not sure.
You'll know by Monday night.
Okay, so Monday night. Basically, it's going to be the greatest collapse in Canadian political history by the Conservatives, who were up 20 points months ago, or it'll be that the polls are all just completely wrong and the Conservatives will win and the Liberals will lose. So it'll be interesting either way.
The Liberals were up double digits at the beginning of the weekend, and now they're only up 4 points.
Oh no, but the Conservatives months ago were up like 20. We're talking about when the Carney came in and you would have never thought. Yeah, Trudeau was so it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. There'll be tears on both sides. It'll be some good reaction on both sides.
That's why they shut down the government and stole the prime ministership and gave it to someone who wasn't elected.
I mean, hey, whatever the charter allows.
And it worked.
Okay, so we were talking about the NFL earlier. We're going to end in Canadian. We're going to end this in Canadian politics.
Yeah.
Canadian politics.
We could do some NHL if you want.
I'm going to guarantee that this is the one episode that we have probably traversed the most subject matters.
We talk American politics too.
No, they mostly do American
they do.
politics. The show
Yeah, we
changed
must
its name
know
to Dirty Politics. It's actually very entertaining.
Oh,
I need to know how he does all that AI stuff though, but that's a
Yeah, probably does his thing.
Yep.
You got yours.
Um,
Is your show
Got
back?
my show. My show will be back on Thursday nights. We didn't even talk about that. I went there. I was literally at Game 2 in Boston on the other night. Yeah, that's how much we sidetracked in the show.
White Mom, weren't you hanging out with the White Mamba?
I hung out at the post game show. Yeah, dapped up White Mamba. That was awesome. Which by the way, if you're watching the Scowl, you're invited on the show. I'll definitely be sending him a DM soon. But my show is because then we went to Fenway the day after because they had the Red Sox had a 135 game. So then we went there, and then by the time we would have got home, it was like 11 o'clock, so we weren't able to do a show Thursday night. But yeah, we'll be back Thursday, probably doing our. Hopefully, a lot of the series will be done by then, and we'll do round 2 stuff, and then we'll also dive into a few other things, I'm sure.
All right. And Ori, your trivia stuff on TikTok is
amazing. Yeah, and my health is getting a lot better, so we're going to be starting to see a lot more content pulling out. So I'm really looking forward to the upcoming stuff that should be coming down the pipeline. So it should be a lot of fun coming up.
All right, I love it, man. All right, guys. Until next week, this has been NBA Max.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.